Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the United Drilling Tools Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Ambit Capital. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Varun Ginodia from Ambit Capital Private Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Malika, and good morning, everyone. And hope everyone is keeping safe and in good health wherever you are. We are pleased to host management of United Drilling Tools Limited for their 1Q FY22 earnings call. Today we have from the management Mr. Pramod Kumar Gupta, MD, Dr. Kanal Gupta, Director, and Mr. Mukesh Mehta, CFO. In terms of the flow of the call, management will present the results of 1Q FY22 and then we will open the floor to Q&A. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Varunji. Good morning to all the participants, and we thank you for your time and interest shown in our company. We are also thankful to Ambit Capital for organizing and inviting us for the Q1 financial year 2022 earnings conference call. We are one of the leading manufacturers of high quality tools and high-tech equipment in the upstream oil and gas exploration. UDTL is widely recognized for manufacturing large OD casing pipes with connectors, large OD multi-start connectors, wireline and well service equipment, gas lift equipment, and downhole tools. Since its inception in 1985 by Mr. Pramod Kumar Gupta, our CMD, UDTL has maintained a consistent track record of creating value for all of its stakeholders and has emerged as one of the global leaders in connector technology. He is aptly aided by our Executive Director, Mr. Kanal Gupta, who provides strategic direction to the company and manages all the operations and strategic partnerships. The senior management of the company possesses extensive sectorial professional experience with qualifications in master's degree across the manufacturing, marketing, branding, distribution, and finance functions, supported strongly by 350 employees, approximately comprising of R&D and design engineers, after sales service personnel, and other administrative staff. We are headquartered in Noida, Phase 2, District Gautam Buddh Nagar, and are equipped with the latest technologies such as machine shop with CNC, special purpose lathe, milling machines, drilling machines, cylindrical grinders, assembly, and fabrication shop. The three state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities of the company are located at Noida Special Economic Zone, Sector 81 Noida, and Kandla, Kutch, which can do a turnover up till 300 to 350 crores. For quality, we have American Petroleum Institute and ISO certification from past 20 years, which is in continuity, which itself states that our quality is at par with the international standards. So what are our USPs? We are a 25-year-old company having rich experience and excellent track record in supplying our product range. Our quality certification like API and ISO, which are in continuation from the last 20 years. This itself shows that the quality of the product is unchanged and is of international standard. A very good after-sales service. Our prices are cheaper than the other European and American companies, though we do have a little competition from China in terms of prices, especially for the product stabilizer. But since we have already procured a lot of orders by competing in international competitive bidding against these overseas contractors who have participated in tenders floated by oil drilling PSUs in India, we understand the price mechanism and we are very competitive against them by almost 15 to 20%. We have our own qualified R&D and design team through which customization can be done as per customer requirements and we have managed to get many of our products patentized. It is very difficult for a newcomer to enter into these high-tech product segments. It normally takes 5 to 7 years to get approval from an oil PSU. The process includes that we have to set up a manufacturing plant first, then obtaining necessary API certification, arranging factory visit by the PSU officials, placement of trial order, and then successful run of trial order products. They will have to pass through all of these above process, and then only will be able to sell their products. UDTL has already completed all these processes in the past and have been supplying successfully the products against orders received. We had expanded our production line with the commencement of manufacturing of stabilizers in 1992, gasway balls and winches in 1995, and connectors in 2006, and large OD casing pipe with connectors in 2014. The present market of our products in India is about 300 to 350 crore rupees per year, which includes both government PSUs like ONGC and Oil India, which is about 200 crore rupees, and private E&P companies like HOEC, Reliance, KN Energy, Focus Energy, which is about 100 to 150 crore rupees. The worldwide market of our products is about 800 crore to 10,000 crore rupees per year, mainly from countries like Middle East, USA, Southeast Asia, South America, and West Africa. And the company is diversifying next by marketing its products into export market and private companies. There is a huge potential of our products in the international market, which may increase our turnover in many fold and will yield a good margin of profit, EBITDA and PAT. Even if the company is able to get 5% of the export market, it can easily grow significantly in terms of turnover and margin of profit. As mentioned earlier, the export market is around 10,000 crores. Casing pipe with connectors is about 6,000 crores. Gasway equipment is 2,000 crores. Wireline winches is 1,000 crores. And stabilizers are about 1,000 crores. And most of our products are consumables which have a life cycle of 1 year. We could not go for international market earlier because since we had a technical collaboration with a multinational company based in USA, which restricted us to sell our products in the international market. This agreement has expired in October 2019. Since then, our presence has grown in global market, as we are now an approved vendor for Schlumberger USA. It took us 1 to 2 years for vendor registration by initial internal audit, getting a trial order, doing a successful trial run of a product, and maintaining the required API certificates. We are also approved vendor of Halliburton, Baker Hughes, Aquaterra, Expro, etc., who are pronounced as leading oilfield service providers globally. To encourage orders from global market, we have also strategically tied up with agents present in countries like Saudi Arabia, UK, UAE, Vietnam, and North Africa. This is also helping us in creating our brand awareness among the oil majors and eventually in bearing orders. We now have our existing presence in more than 16 countries, including UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, USA, Vietnam, and other countries through these alliances. The major competitors we are competing with globally are Baker Hughes, Drillquip, Special Oilfield, Weatherford, GE. UDT has gotten their designs patentized and trademarks registered in India for all our products. We have technology patents for connectors and winches. Presently, these patents are valid in India only. We are in the process of applying patents in other countries also, where there are requirements of these items. We are also developing new products like Swift connectors, quench connectors, and side pocket mandrels that are right now in manufacturing and trial phase. This will also help us in achieving further orders and fulfilling our targets. We have recently announced to scale up the capacity in addition to our 3 existing facilities by setting up a 4th and new facility near Mudra Port, Gujarat. The erection work is estimated to require an initial capex of about 150 million rupees, which is proposed to be entirely funded out of our own funds. And we also expect our incremental capacity by another 100% from the present level in the next 2 years. Our order book currently is 800 million rupees, which is coming from diversified geographies such as India, UK, Vietnam, which are under execution and to be completed in the next 5 to 6 months. Our total order bidding till July 2021 has been around 1,250 million rupees, out of which we strongly anticipate the conversion of 48% of the total bidding, equivalent to 600 million rupees, in next 4 to 5 months. Additionally, we anticipate to bid for another 1,000 million rupees in another 3 to 4 months and are likely to get orders worth in 600 million rupees. Our bidding has been for high margin products such as casing pipe with connectors and winches. From the journals and industry updates that we have received, a total of 1,15,700 numbers of oil well amounting to approximately $54 billion in 2021 and 2022 will be drilled. These are estimations of increase by 10% every year based on the demand and policies at global level. These are proposed mainly for drilling in the next 2 to 3 years in countries like USA, Middle East, South America, Southeast Asia and Africa. As highlighted in the online news oilandgasjournal.com by Rice Energy dated March 23, 2021. The Indian oil and gas industry is also expected to attract a $25 billion investment in exploration and production by 2022, as mentioned in the IBEF report February 2021. Currently, India is producing 17 to 18% of its crude oil requirement. All these developments will directly benefit UDTL in getting maximum orders from domestic and global oil companies. Now I would request Mr. Mehta to give about our financials.
Thank you, sir. We are pleased to inform you that UDTL team has done a very good job under the leadership of Shri Pramod Gupta and Shri Kunal Gupta, which have been reflected in our financials Q1 of financial year 2020 and 21. Key highlights of the financials of Q1 for the year 21-22 are as follows. We have a turnover of INR 31.15 crore and EBITDA for the Q1 at INR 20.20 crore, which is 64% of revenue. Profit before tax for the Q1 at INR 19.33 crore, which is 62% of revenue. Profit before tax for the Q1 at INR 14.12 crore, which is 45% of revenue. Earnings per share for the Q1 increased to INR 6.96 per share from INR 2.06 in Q4 of 2020-21. Book value per share increased to INR 102.37 from INR 95.42 as on 31st March 21. Since the results are very good, the board have declared a dividend of 6% as interim dividend for the year 2021-22.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta. Thank you all for hearing us out patiently. Now we would be happy to address any questions from the participants.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Tushar Khurana, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers. Sir, my first question is on the demand outlook and given the fact that the cases are surging globally for COVID. So do we see any risk there in terms of our order book and if we can execute it in the ongoing quarters?
No, I don't think there is any risk of any reduction in the results due to COVID, because now COVID is almost over unless some third or fourth waves come. So we must be doing okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then my second question is around the export side. So if
Sorry, Mr. Khurana, but your voice is breaking, sir.
Oh, one second. Is it okay now?
Yes, it is okay.
Okay, sir. My second question is on the export side. If you could give some color on what percentage of our revenues are coming that we are setting for ourselves.
Can you please repeat this again, please? The voice was not clear.
Sir, my question is on the export side, the kind of contribution in revenue that we are getting from exports, and then what is the target that we are setting for ourselves in the coming future, say next 2 to 3 years? What percentage would be coming from exports? Any target that we have set for ourselves?
Yes, please. Presently, our revenues from exports are from 5 to 10%, but we are expecting within next 2 to 3 years this revenues to increase around 30 to 40%.
Okay, that's heartening, sir. And thank you so much. That would be all from my side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Milan Shah from Urmil Research. Please go ahead. Mr. Milan Shah, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with your question. The line for the current participant is disconnected. The next question is from the line of Krishna Parikh from Ashima Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello. Could you please tell me about your capex plans in Mundra? I think you said about some expansion. So what would be the capex and what would be the capacity growth?
Actually, presently, initially, we are expecting a capex expenditure of around 15 crores. And maximum it will go around 20 to 25 crores, and that will increase our capacity. That will actually double the capacity of our products there.
Okay, so when you say double the capacity, what would be the measure of the capacity?
Well, presently we have a capacity of approximately 300 to 350 crores. So we will be doing around 600 crores then.
Okay. And can you tell us how much of our business is dependent on tender versus direct sales without non-tender sales?
Approximately, I will say presently, our business is around 70 to 80% tender based and 20% direct business. Or I should say around 70% tender based and 30% direct business. But as we are going in international market more and more, it will be around 50%.
Okay. And how do you see the global growth in the oil and gas upstream industry, given that oil prices are, at this level?
Actually, this is a good level where oil prices are, and we see at least a 10% growth each year in the international market. And as a matter of fact, in India, as Mr. Kanal Gupta has mentioned, that we produce only 17 to 18% of our total oil requirement in our country. So in our country, it has to increase maybe 15 to 20% per year, which is a commitment of our Prime Minister also.
Okay. Thank you. That will be all.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. A question on, first of all, when we have this 5% global market share aspiration, how far do you think you are in terms of achieving that aspiration of 5% when we are at about, let's say, 10-15 crore of export revenue? And we say 5%, which means it's about a 300 to 400 crore revenue number on export, and that's precisely why I think the capacity is also getting added. So if you tell us the status that we would be achieving or milestones that are required in achieving that market share or that size of business, and when it should happen.
Yes, we are estimating that in next 3 to 4 years we will achieve that milestone, because we were not going to international market that strongly because of our contract restrictions which were put by our collaborators. Now we have done all the groundwork in last 2 years during the COVID period, where we are well recognized by oil drilling companies and oil service companies. So our progress will be much faster now.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, please?
Yeah. So you mentioned that you become a vendor to some of the oil service companies. So has it now started translating into business, or there is some more requirements or some more KRAs that need to be finished before which it translates into business?
Well, for some of them we have completed that requirement, and for the others we are in the process of doing that. So we have already started getting orders from some of these service companies.
For us to take
received orders worth around about 2-3 crore rupees, very recently, from these companies.
So for us to take market share, I think someone has to lose market share. So how do you see that playing out?
Well, see, the market is so huge, and we are expecting only a small portion of that. So you are right. If we will get that market share, somebody will lose, because now our products are of international quality, and we have international certifications. API is American Petroleum Institute, which is the topmost certification for an oil industry product in the world. So if we get the share because our prices are competitive, then obviously, some of the major companies from Europe and America will lose that market, yes.
Okay. And sir, on the comments that you mentioned on order book to be completed in next 6 months, and then there is order bidding of 125 crore. So let's say sum total, what kind of revenue do you think you will clock in FY22?
We are expecting about 200 crores this year.
Okay. And in that, how much should be exports?
I would say that around 15%, 15 to 16% will be export.
Okay. And all your incremental growth largely will be exports, right? Because the Indian market at 300-350 crore would be largely a single-digit growing market, and we have quite a good share there.
Yeah, you are right. Yes, please.
Okay. And lastly, sir, on the margin side, there is a huge variation in margin that we see year after year or quarter after quarter. So what is a more, first of all, why does this happen, and what is a more realistic assumption on margin if you, both gross margin and EBITDA margin for our type of business?
Well, actually, yeah, you are very right that our margins vary based on the product mix, That is why you see some of our products have high profit margins, PBT or PAT, and others don't have as high. So that is why in some quarters it is very high, and then in others it is not as high. But on an average, I would say that it is approximately will be on a year-to-year basis around 25 to 30% PAT each year we will get.
And EBITDA margin should be how much?
EBITDA, Mehta, can you tell me what will be the EBITDA if the PAT is around 25 to 30%?
It
will be around 40%.
Okay. And when is the Mundra facility supposed to become live?
I would say it will take about 6 months to a year.
But we are not still using our existing capacity. Any need for getting the Mundra facility up? So do we have those kind of orders? Or?
Yes. Well, the way we are going in international market, we have the feelers that we will get, orders from there, and that is why we have to. You see, we have to firstly. We have already acquired the land. Now we will start building the plant, and then procurement of machineries and getting the approvals of the plant. That will take about a year, year and 3 months. So we have to build now for the future orders which we are expecting.
So are you anticipating that you might actually be a 600 crore revenue company, let's say 3 years from now?
Yeah. Well, we are expecting that it will be around 4 years.
And you will still be a 30% net margin company even then?
Well, we are hoping that we have, yes, we are very sure based on our performance and based on our knowledge of international market and pricing that our profit margin should be that.
Because that means some 150 crore plus of profits, which was our top line until last year.
Yes, if our revenues are 500 to 600 crores, our PBT or PAT will be around 150 crores. You're right. Yes, sir.
You mentioned, sir, 25 to 30.
Chheda, so this is the conference operator. Request you to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil from Simple. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, and
Good afternoon.
Thanks. Congratulations for a good set of numbers and the improvement the company has seen over the last 3-4 years. I would just first question is basically I missed your initial comment. Just wanted to understand what all products do we supply and what is the value differentiation which we provide to the customer? Is it like the cost is the key differentiator which we provide to the customer, as a result people are shifting from US, Europe to us? If you can just help me understand.
Sure. Actually, primarily there are 2 things where the people will be shifting or are shifting from Europe and America to us. Number 1 is the quality of our products. It is as good or better than the foreign suppliers. We have been certified by American Petroleum Institute. Our products have been approved, and we have their licenses from last now 10 to 15 years. So that gives an added, assurance to our customers that our quality of the product is equally good. And the third and the most important point is that our prices are about 15 to 20% less than the other players in the world. Other companies in the world.
Okay. And if we have to understand the nature of the business, because where I'm coming from is like, if I look at our balance sheet and P&L, our capital investment is very minimal, and parallelly our manufacturing cost is also minimal. And if I look at our employee cost, which is the bigger part, almost 20% is the salary which is paid to top management. So is this a capital intensive business, manufacturing cost intensive business? What is the nature of this business? Or is it like a very high, like low volume but high value kind of a product which we are supplying? Just to understand the nature of the product what we supply.
Yes, please. Yeah, actually it is a high-tech business, high technology business, and there are very few companies, who are in this business, because to win the confidence of the drilling companies or exploration companies, you have to go a long road. Like we have indicated, it takes about 5 to 7, maybe sometimes 10 years, before you reach to that level. And the main reason is that when an exploration company is drilling an oil well, the cost of the well itself is around 300 to 400 crores. And so they want to use the product of companies who are well established and well tested in the field. And that is another reason why in India, for several of our products, we are the only one manufacturing these products. So all those things give us a little better, profit margins.
Okay. And secondly, sir, if I link your comment to our profitability, how it has shaped up. So because prior to 2015, if we look at our company, our margins were pretty low, but post 2016-17, there is a significant improvement which has happened. So is it like we were there in the process of getting the approvals and all, but the traction or everything started building in 2016 onwards, or what has happened over last 5-6 years that profitability has improved? Because prior to that, we were not so high profit margin business. So if we've entered new products, or if you can just help me understand the history.
Yes, please. Yeah, you're very right that after 2015 or 14, we started selling some of the products like connectors and wireline winches, specialized wireline winches, which are high profit items, and high revenue items also. That is why our profitability, is better after that.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I joined late, so some of my questions may be a little repetitive. But I heard you say that your addressable market overseas varies from 800 crore to 10,000 crore. Did I hear that right?
No, actually, yeah. Sorry for that. It is not 800 to 8,000 crore, 10,000 crore. It is 8,000 to 10,000 crores.
Okay.
Yeah, it was misspoken. Sorry for that.
No problem, sir. No problem. The second question I had, how much capex are you doing? And you said that will come online in 6 months. So if you can just give me the figure and timeline of when it will become available for commercial production, that would be helpful.
and the ramp-up time it takes to get to full 100% capacity?
For the additional CapEx you are asking, right?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, it will take us around, I think, 12 to 15 months for the plant to be ready. And so that's when we will reach, we can do additional 100% capacity will be there. We may not have that many orders at that time, but the capacity will be there. Yes, please.
So, and what is the capex you are doing for that expansion? What is the amount?
Presently we are planning around 15 crores, and that also we will do from our internal resources. We are not borrowing from anybody. And then later on it could increase to 25 crores. Additional 10 crores. Total 25 crores.
Okay, so if I heard you right, from the current capacity you are doing 200 crores, and with this 15 crore expansion, you can take it up to 400 crores. Is that right? Did I get that correct?
Yeah. Well, actually, with the current capacity, we can do 300 crores. And
okay, you can do 300 crores. Okay.
And then with this additional capacity, we will be able to do 600 to 650 crores.
Okay, I see. So what is this additional 10 crore capex for? Is that beyond 600 crores, or that is required to get to 600 crores?
I'm sorry. We require around 25 crores to reach to 600 crores.
Okay, and you will do it in two phases. First 15 crores and then 10 crores, correct?
Right. Yes, please.
Okay. And you are doing this in Mundra, you said, if I got that correct.
Yes, please.
Okay. And your current capacity is where? Is it in Noida or some other location?
Well, we have capacity in Kandla also. We have a plant in Kandla, and we have 2 plants in Noida.
Okay. All right. So the one of the other questions is that are you focusing more in the US market or Middle East? If you can just talk a little bit about how you will increase your exports, which you just said are about 15 crores, and you're looking to grow multifold in that area.
Well, yeah, we are primarily concentrating now in Middle East, Southeast Asia, and CIS countries, and to some extent in West Africa also.
Okay.
But we do get orders from Europe and US also.
So how much is US-Europe right now?
Well, we recently got an order of $100,000 from UK, and in the past we have received orders from US for around $100,000, $150,000, like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll get back in the queue if I have more questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Krishna Parikh from Ashima Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi. I wanted to know the current utilization levels of our current capacity.
Our current capacity is around 300 to 350 crores, and like last year we had done around 150 crores, so the utilization is approximately 50 to 60%.
Okay. So when we are going for new capex, we are anticipating that current capacities will also be filled up, and on top of it we are expecting further orders from export in about 1.5 years. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Admane from Monarch Network Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, our inventory movement over quarter-on-quarter, it is a bit volatile. So could you throw some light that how do we manage inventory in terms of raw materials and finished products?
Right. Actually, you see, we make two products. One is connectors and another is casing pipe with connectors.
Yes.
So whenever we sell more casing pipe with connectors, our inventory levels are very high because the pipe itself is approximately 50 to 55% of the cost of the product. And when we sell only connectors, and we sell both of them, then our inventory levels are low. So that is the reason. Actually, it's the product mix which makes the difference.
Okay, so if we take quarter 4 and quarter 1, so there must be some kind of product mix that has kicked in. That is why this inventory is a bit different.
Exactly. In quarter 4th of last year or quarter 3rd of last year, we were only selling casing pipe with connectors. And in the first quarter of this year, we have sold only connectors. So
okay.
That is why that big difference is there.
Okay. And sir, how do we build raw material? Is there any kind of we keep inventory or something? And how are these movement of prices are actually built in quarter 1? And, how will be there in quarter 2 and quarter 3?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah. How do we build our raw material inventory? We keep some inventory for say some months or kind of, because currently raw material prices are quite volatile and they are increasing.
That is true. Yes. Actually, we do keep raw material inventory, which is around 3 months, in advance. And you are very right that steel prices have been so volatile. That is also making difference, in the profitability of the company also. Steel prices have gone up, last year quite a bit. So considering all those factors, we also keep inventory usually around 3 months,
So going forward,
Yes, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So going forward, do we see some kind of pressure on gross margin because of recent increase in these steel prices?
Well, there may be some, but now since steel prices, as I understand, have reached to their peak, so whatever the new orders we are getting are on those prices, so that should not affect very much on our profit margins.
Okay. And sir,
Please go ahead.
So my final question is that for existing orders, can we pass on a big hike in steel prices, or do we need to do that for new orders only?
We can do that on new orders only. Once we get an order, our prices are usually firm.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Sancheti from Kotak Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. First of all, if you can share for the last year ending March 21, in terms of your revenue, what were the 4 key products and what were their percentage to revenue?
Can you please repeat the last part of your question, please? What was the?
So, last year, your revenue breakup in terms of products and what exactly was their contribution to last year revenue?
Mostly last year we sold casing pipe with connectors. And there were some winches also, wireline winches, and stabilizers and gas lift valves. So I would say around 70 to 75% were casing pipe with connectors, and the rest around 25% were the remaining products. So that is why you will see that our inventory levels were high, and casing pipe with connectors is our relatively low profit margin product. So does that answer your question, too?
Yeah, I got it. But if I heard you right, casing pipe with connector is a low margin product or it is a high margin product? Sorry.
The connectors is a high margin product.
Okay.
And casing pipe with connectors is relatively a lower margin product. I should say that.
Okay. And another question was on the working capital. What has changed in last 3 years? That 3 years back your debtors were roughly 330 odd days, and they have come down to 40-50 days in the last 2 years. So what exactly has changed in last 3-4 years in terms of debtors?
Actually, the oil companies are paying us faster. I think it is our government policies that they are saying that the payment should be made faster. So that is the only reason.
Okay, so the contract terms remains the same, but it is only the change in view of the OMCs or ONGC to pay you faster.
Yes, please. The payment terms were always, through documents, through bank, So, but sometimes it used to take, 2 to 3 months, but now it has been reduced to around a month, around 30 days.
And in terms of exports, whether the working capital will be very different compared to domestic orders?
Well, in exports, usually our payment terms are letter of credit, or payment against dispatch. So I wouldn't say there is very much difference between the two.
Okay. And one final question. I was reading somewhere, CRISIL has withdrawn credit rating on your company, giving argument that the company has been non-cooperative in sharing data. While I understand we don't have any significant debt on the balance sheet, but just trying to understand why non-cooperation from the management has been cited as reason for.
Actually, I don't know why CRISIL is saying that, because we left CRISIL about 3 years ago, and we chose Brickwork. And as a matter of fact, I think CRISIL people were not understanding our type of business, and they were mainly doing sales pitch and then not evaluating the company properly. So we had gone to Brickwork, and our ratings now are BBB minus. Our ratings are now BBB minus, and we are hoping that we will get this year. We are being evaluated currently. It will increase to BBB.
Okay.
I don't know why CRISIL is saying that, because we have left CRISIL about 2 to 3 years ago. About 2.5 years ago. We have sent everything, and we have written to them that we don't want to continue with you anymore. So I don't know why they keep on saying that.
Okay. Thanks from my side. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anuj Sharma from M3 Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Sir, just a little bit into the past now. In 2004 and 2005, our revenues were very strong, and then it dipped from 112 crores to 35 crores. It took 4 years back for us to get back the same revenue level. Now, I presume share would have also picked up during this time. So what exactly went into our business, and what is the possibility of this repeating going forward?
I'm sorry, the voice was not clear. Can you please speak a little slower, please?
Yeah, sure. I am saying that in 2015, we had 112 crores of revenue, which fell to 35 crores in 2016. And it took us 4 years to get back the same revenue or cross the 2015 revenue levels. Now, shale gas also picked up, shale drilling picked up in US in the same time. So I presume you would have benefited from there. So I'm just trying to understand why revenues have been so volatile, and what is the possibility that it could continue going forward, the volatility?
Well, actually, sometimes it depends upon various factors. Usually, our turnaround time of our product is around 5 to 6 months. So, lot of time it happens that in one quarter, if for some reason, because there are several inspections involved and quality checks are there, that it is possible that the figures of fourth quarter may shift to the first quarter of the next year. So that is one of the reason, and the other was that in the past most of our business was dependent on national oil companies. So it depended on when they are inviting the tenders, when they are placing the orders, and so that also was creating this volatility. But on an average, you will see that now this will not happen, because our now business around on the oil companies, national oil companies, is the share is going down, and the private players and the international market is growing in our case. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, it does. But when you talk about a shift from a quarter, I'm talking about 4 years. It took almost 4 years for us to come back to the same revenue level. So I understand the quarter shifting, but that was a long time for us to. And could that happen again? So you answered the second part, but it was a sharp dip from 2015 to 2016.
I have to check the numbers actually. I don't remember, frankly.
Okay.
Can we answer that, reply you back after checking the numbers?
No problem. My second question is, how many products do we deal in, and are these standardized or customized products, or what percentage of revenues would be standard products?
Well, primarily we have 5 products which we manufacture and supply.
Okay.
They are connectors, casing pipe with connectors, stabilizers, wireline winches, and gas lift equipment. And what was the next question, sir?
How many products are standardized in nature, or these are specific to customer requirements? They are customized.
No, all of them are standardized products actually.
Okay.
Supply to India or overseas, they are the same.
Okay. And my third and last question is, while I understand the margins, but when I look at gross margins, they've been all around. So they've been 50, they've been 60, they've been 33. So how do we understand the gross margin of the business? What is the material cost in an ideal scenario?
The material cost is approximately around, I will say 35 to 40%.
Okay.
And it varies from product to product. Our product mix, some of the products are high profit products, high profit margin products, and some are relatively low profit margins. Like connectors are, usually our profit margins are, profit before tax is around 50%. And then at the same time, stabilizers are around 17 or 18%. So it varies that way.
All right. And one more question on shale exploration. Do our products go in shale exploration as a part of those companies?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Okay. So what part of revenues would be coming from shale?
Well, it depends. About 4 or 5 years ago, shale market was very, very hot. Now I think it has come down a little bit. And so our gas lift valves are used in the shale market.
Sorry, sir, I missed that last
One of our products, which is gas lift equipment,
okay,
they are used for shale oil drilling.
All right. Okay. If I may ask one more question, what is it a tender-driven business predominantly, even for the private companies? How does it work? Generally, how many companies compete for products?
Well, approximately, it used to be where it was 60 to 70% tender-driven, more than 70%. But now it is coming less and less. Now it is around 50 to 60% is tender-driven, and balance is in the open market with the private players.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Sir, I have 2 follow-up questions. One, is the entire business consumable in nature? So the life of the product is a year and the companies have to come and rebuy your product again? Or is there any capital nature of the product?
Well, out of 5 product lines, 4 of them are consumables. So if an oil company has to drill a well, they need our products, year-to-year basis. And one of our products is of capital nature, wireline winches, where usually a wireline winch will last about 10 years. So, but there are replacement requirements and new wireline winches are always required. The old ones get condemned and then the new requirement keeps on coming. It's like a car industry.
So what portion of the revenue is consumable? More than 90% is consumable?
Yeah, I would say around 80 to 90%.
Okay. And my second question is the entire portfolio of ours largely linked to exploration of oil and gas, or our products are also find usage in, let's say, a gas transportation? So if India is expanding its gas distribution network, do you benefit, or the entire product line is linked to exploration?
No, our entire product line is linked with exploration. But our products are used in producing gas, natural gas, as well as oil, but not in transportation.
Okay. So this was useful. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. The last question is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity again. 3% of that, or was it BT?
I'm sorry?
Sorry to interrupt, but your voice is breaking.
Sorry, is it better now?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I was clarifying the margin you said for your connector products. Can you just say that again, please?
Well, our profit margins for the connectors, PAT, now I will say PAT is around 40 to 45%.
Okay. Okay. And then my second question is, as a previous participant asked this question, in fiscal year 16, you were at 111 crores of revenue. Then it came down to 38, then it went up to 80, and then it was again lower, and then it came back to more than 115. So if you can explain to us, was it because the oil prices crashed in 2015 and therefore there was hardly any demand for your products? If you can just give some color commentary around that, or if you can get back to me later, that will be very helpful.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let me look at the numbers. I don't remember now what happened then. Let us check and we will get back to you, please.
I'll appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you all for taking interest in UDTL, and we hope that we were able to give you a fair understanding about our company. However, if there are areas or segments where you need more detailed information, or if any questions further which were not able to be addressed, then we request you to please direct them to our investor relations advisors, and we will try to address them promptly. We once again thank you all and thank Ambit Capital for giving us the opportunity on this investor platform. We will now request Ambit Capital to address any closing comments, if any. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And yeah, it was a pleasure hosting you all. And thank you so much for patiently answering all the questions of participants. And I wish you good luck for the upcoming quarter, So yeah, wish you good luck and all the health. Good health. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Ambit Capital Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.